All right. That looks good. I know you're embarrassed and you're stuck in here, but you're going to come out and you're going to show everyone what you got.
Yeah,
Because
I don't like this, Thomas.
This is great. This is perfect. You wanted to be Bond. You're Bond. It's great.
Yes, but my name is literally James. This is not what I had in mind.
Yeah, I know, but James, this is the DBX. It's not the DBS. It's a crossover. This makes perfect sense, okay? So come out, introduce yourself.
The name's Bond. Karen Bond.
Yeah, it is. What's in your pocket?
What is in my pocket? License to complain.
And pull out your weapon, ma'am.
Is this how you always treat customers?
You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas.
And I'm James.
And this is the Aston Martin DBX.
For 108 years, Aston Martin has made its name by manufacturing luxury British sports cars and Grand Tourers. It makes complete sense then that as luxury sedans evolve into luxury SUVs, so too does Aston Martin. A lot of love and chassis obsession later, we have the DBX.
Are you paying for that love? Yes. This one costs $245,000 Canadian. It's stunning inside and out, but that's Bentley Bentayga money. So it better be more than just a pretty face.
If you're new to Throttle House, we do car reviews, track tests, and quite a lot of messing around. So subscribe and hit the bell.
Listen to that. That's an AMG V8, which Aston Martin get to use. In fact, they use it in their Vantage and DB11. Except this is an even heavier car, so they managed to tweak some more power out of it. We get 542 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. And that's paired to a Mercedes-supplied 9-speed transmission. In fact, there's actually a lot of Mercedes stuff going on. It's got a performance version of Mercedes' 4MATIC system. It also has the same electronic architecture from Mercedes. But that's where the Mercedes stuff ends. Oh, it's also got the Mercedes infotainment as well. But the rest is all Aston Martin, baby! Is it quick? Yes, and it bucks when you put your foot down. You slam it in Sport Plus, it screams AMG sounds out the back with kind of like an Aston Martin flair. Take it out of Sport Plus though, and go into GT, bit laggy. And the power is tuned for a GT car. It's still all there, but it's a smooth delivery. And I think GT, or comfort mode, is the best way to experience this car, because every time I try and get anything really sporty out of it, the shifts in auto are slow to kick down, and then you're saying to me, well, you've got these beautiful column-mounted shifters, and they are beautiful, except they're slow. And I mean, they're really slow. Like, a Hyundai Elantra N-Line has quicker shifts. So it's not really that satisfying. But remember, this car is trying to be jack of all trades. It's no G-Class that's just off-road, and it's no Urus that's trying to be a quarter-mile track setter. This fits nicely in the middle, but it does have some off-road chops. And if I move it into terrain mode, or even if I'm feeling really crazy, Terrain Plus, using the air suspension, it raises the ride height of the car, and I get to tackle some serious obstacles. And fortunately, today, we've managed to resurrect the rigorous off-road assault course that we created, and it's a course that exists to mimic exactly how the owners of these cars are going to off-road it. So I'm going to give this a go. That's a big mountain to climb. Oh, yeah. No trouble. I would say that handled that pretty much just as well as the Urus did. Back on the power. Now, in a straight line, something like the Levante GTS that we just reviewed, or an Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio, Stelvio Quadrifoglio, they are more fun than this. And I know that everyone says that this is performance oriented, but it doesn't quite match up to those in terms of just raw engagement. Can it turn into a luxury car in a way that those can't? Absolutely, and that's why it costs double the price, because the Alfa doesn't have luxury, neither does the Levante. But for the asking price, it needs to be more than just a pretty face. It needs to be more than just a luxury car, because it's not a Bentayga in terms of ride quality, but can it make it up in sportiness? Because even though it's a £5,000 SUV, when I turn into a corner, that's a little bit more athletic than it should be.
And that's no surprise, because the chief engineer of this car used to work for Lotus and did the chassis tuning on cars like, I don't know, the Elise and the Evora. Basically benchmark cars in terms of driving dynamics and engagement. It also doesn't hurt that this is a primarily rear-wheel drive-based vehicle. But compared to an Aston Martin Vantage or a BMW M8, which are dedicated GT sports cars, because of the higher center of gravity of an SUV, the handling has to be compromised. Right? Right. You thought I was going to say wrong, didn't you? Yeah, it's still an SUV, no matter what you do. The high center of gravity just ruins the handling of what would otherwise be a very good chassis. What they have done, though, which was very clever, is give it the same type of anti-roll bars that you get in the Bentayga. That is, they are mechanically, electronically assisted anti-roll bars. So when I'm in Sport Plus, it adds a tremendous amount of torque across the axle to keep the whole thing rigid going through corners, and it works. I can feel this car staying level in a way that a vehicle that weighs this much should not be able to do. And the front end turns in very well. Steering weights up in a fairly natural fashion. I mean, it's pretty numb, but that's what you're gonna get in a SUV that weighs this much. But the problem with all of that is that those really stiff anti-roll bars, which are making this feel kind of like a car, are a constant annoyance. Honestly, even all the way down into touring mode, it's very busy. The ride is very busy. I'm getting a lot of this kind of constant back and forth across the axle motion, which I don't really like. This is a very smooth road, and I'm kind of getting tossed all over the place, back and forth. I don't like it. I don't think it's very good. I would take a little bit of a more sloopy vehicle in the corners to have a little bit more comfort, even in the sporty settings. I do agree with James, though. This transmission is just it's not what it should be. It's not fast enough. Yeah, the gauge cluster goes red in Sport Plus mode, and the whole thing gets louder, the exhaust opens up. There's some drama. It's still fun to drive. But I'm not sure that it has much on even the Maserati Levante when it comes to fun to drive, and that thing's $100,000 cheaper. But the Maserati Levante does not have a handcrafted interior, which is constantly squeaking at me through the seat and through the center console. Don't get me wrong, this is a very nice vehicle to drive and quite fun, but I just wanted it to be as good to drive as it is to look at. All right. I've noticed actually when you get out, this is a very low sill. I just bonked my head a bit there. But that's because it's sleek and sporty.
It's so bright right now.
It is ridiculously bright,
the reflection on this
actually.
It's so sparkly.
You're
paying $7,300.
$73? I can't even look at it. Holy. Yeah. Come over here. I can't.
It's called Stone White.
Stone White. It looks more like Glacier White, as you would say. Glacier.
You know what? At night time, it looks really cool. It kind of goes like bland and almost like Porsche chalky color.
Chalk.
So, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say it.
The colors are, you're having a hard time. Okay. Anyway. The way that it drives, there's definitely like ups and downs, right?
Yes.
Like the suspension goes up and down.
Yeah.
No, I know. I mean, like there's good points.
How's the
and
elevator
bad
business?
Points. It's great.
Has its ups and downs?
Oh my God.
Old as time. That joke. I don't even. I'm sorry.
We're all sorry for that. Anyway, back to a car review.
Yes.
Now, I think that dynamically, it is a success. It drives the way that you'd expect it to.
Yes.
And the ride is not too harsh because of the air suspension that we have in the lowest setting right now, by the way.
Aggressive.
Yeah. Now, styling. What do you think?
I like it. I like it. You know, what else is out there? You've got the Urus, which is quite aggressive.
Yes.
You know, on the negative side, people think it looks like a Pontiac Aztec.
The Urus, like, in terms of like styles, it like almost can't decide what it wants to be on the
No.
front. There's a lot going on.
I find that with all the super SUVs, though.
Yeah, that's true. This one though is pretty like confident in its
I think it
styling.
works. I think I maybe prefer the Bentayga for what it's going for. I mean, you know what? I agree with you.
Yeah.
But driving here today, I hated someone next to me. I don't normally full of hate, but they drove next to me. I was like, oh, here I am
Yeah.
in the DBX.
Okay.
And then this white Ford Escape pulled up next to me in my rear view mirror, and I was like, another DBX. It's upsetting how much they've made.
Awkward.
I guess Ford probably copied Aston. They did with the Fusion.
But well, yeah, because there was some ownership
But it
going on
takes
back
away.
in the day, right?
Fortunately, this
Okay.
has been spec'd with some $1,300 blades. Ow,
Can't-
they're boiling.
Can't get them on a Fusion.
No,
No.
you can. It just looks like a horrendous mod. But
Yes.
these are functional blades.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, you
and
can-
hot, as you just found out.
They are hot, yeah.
Speaking of cool styling points, these wheels look like Medusa's hair.
Ooh.
Yeah, really neat, right?
Yeah,
These-
the 22-inch ribbon wheels.
going on. Anyway, the rear end looks like a taller Vantage.
Yes.
It's got the
Yeah.
light, it's got the thing, the exhaust tips are kind of interesting. But I mean, otherwise, I think it's a good looking SUV.
Well, someone spending this money,
Yeah.
right, 250 grand or whatever it is,
Yeah.
is trying to buy presents as well as like the performance.
It definitely has that.
And but I still struggle. Even with the Urus and the Bentayga and the Genesis GV80, I struggled to anything beyond the G63, the G-Wagon, just any G-Wagon.
Yes.
That's still, to me, if you want the ultimate presence.
Yeah, if you want to show off and be
Yeah.
like, look, I spent $270,000 on an SUV, get a G-Wagon.
Get a G-Wagon.
Nothing looks like that.
Because you don't need a sports car.
No, you don't. And this is trying to be that a little bit.
Although, speaking of G-Wagons,
Yeah.
it shares an engine, doesn't it? Why don't you pop the hood
Okay.
and we'll show everyone the engine. And while you do that, I'm
Yeah.
going to go and get lunch because you're going to take forever.
To pop the hood?
Yeah.
Okay.
We might have to time-lapse this.
Okay. I found the OBD2 port.
Gonna be here for a while.
I'm honestly not being dumb. Like, we'll keep going. I'll get it.
That's the trunk, Thomas. Back to the time lapse.
I honest to God give up.
Yeah.
Honestly, how do you open the?
Oh, it's under the thing.
No, it is not.
It is. It's just on the passenger side.
You're joking, right?
No, not joking. And so ends the time lapse. I had to give it away.
But like, I guess it's an English car. Steering wheels usually on this.
No, that's not how things work.
Well, maybe it is. I don't
Right,
know.
Go on, now open it.
That is just stupid. I was not expecting that.
This is like watching a child trying to eat a carrot with no teeth.
Ooh, I broke something. I broke it.
You didn't.
Yeah, there's a rubber grommet that's now in the bowels of the engine, for sure.
We'll voice over that part with something interesting. Hey!
I found the piece that I broke. There we go. Just gonna.
I just goes right back in.
Yeah.
So how's that for a palaver?
Yeah, it's an engine. Hand built in Wales.
Yes.
Final inspection by Richard Stevenson. It's a very English sounding name.
Richard Stevenson?
Yeah.
The 7th? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, interior?
Yeah, we've been out here for about
Okay.
70 million minutes.
Okay.
All right.
I remembered soft close this time.
Yeah, it doesn't have it.
Are you serious?
250 grand. Yeah, no soft close. It's
What?
it's a sports car through and through.
Okay. Anyway, speaking of the trunk latch, we did the whole thing there.
Yes.
We just looked it up out of curiosity. Turns out all Astons have the trunk latch on that side.
Yeah. This is Thomas's fault for growing up with a wooden spoon in his mouth. He just doesn't know these things.
I've driven a bunch of Astons in the past, but I guess I've never opened the hood. I didn't know that. So for those of you that already knew and were screaming at me to go to the passenger side, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Now, this interior.
So I have a few problems. And
Okay.
the problems I didn't foresee. So why don't we start with the good stuff?
Yes, well, the good stuff is that if you look up form over function in the dictionary, you'll find a picture of this interior because it is stunning.
It's beautiful.
It is
I think
just-
these seats are the pièce de résistance. Like,
Pièce de résistance.
Yeah.
Well, the seats in the back. Actually, just the stitching, I think, is what makes it that.
I wish they were a bit more comfortable. They're quite hard. And these have been worked in.
They are pretty hard,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, they fit me nicely, right? They're not, like, poking me in any
Yeah,
weird
they're quite
ways.
adjustable. They're quite adjustable.
Yep, they are. But, like, it's just the quality of the leathers, the quality of the stitching, like, the attention to detail. Like, this is just, like, the huge
Well,
stitch
it's all
on it.
handcrafted, isn't it? You know?
It's a handcrafted.
It's a Aurora blue leather, I think.
Aurora blue, and
Yeah.
then we've got this tan Alcantara / suede maybe on the
Yeah.
roof, which it
That was a bit
okay, well, don't.
of a gap there.
You don't.
It's
just-
handcrafted.
Handcrafted. It's handcrafted.
We've got the ash wood here.
Yeah,
I think this is a really fun spec.
This is a beautiful spec of car. I mean, you can get this in dull, boring colors, but why would you?
No, I'm so glad the press car is a fun spec.
It's just a beautiful color.
handcrafted.
Handcrafted. It's handcrafted. So, should we? Okay, we have to say that almost nothing else matters in the interior because it's so beautiful. But here we go. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, never before has a screen been so well placed to be a touchscreen.
Yeah.
It's slanted perfectly. It's close.
Within reach.
You know, I own two cars that both have screens that aren't touchscreens, and I've got used to it. But my brain cannot tell me that this isn't a touchscreen. It's not a touchscreen. It's so crazy.
It doesn't make
uses
any
the old
sense.
Merc tech.
Yeah.
And it's really dumb. All I want to do is press it.
Yep.
Look at that. It feels like I should be able to
It
press
really does. Next thing, right above this, is no one needs buttons to select a gear in a car. I don't like it. I never have. Not that this is new to this car or anything, but like that drive button is way too far away from the driver.
Well,
right?
you've complained that even like the Honda Accord and the Elantra have the buttons down here. This is a step further.
A
It's
step
like,
further
you're gonna
away,
put them
yeah.
far away.
No, I don't like it at all.
You almost need to ask your passenger to put you in drive.
Yeah, do you want to do it for me? Let's go. Whoomp. And then the other issue is that it's just a bit rickety and creaky in here.
It's handcrafted.
It's handcrafted.
It's handcrafted.
It just,
Best of Britain.
It squeaks when you drive. Like there's like weird rattles. This center console here is made out of cheese, I think. It's
Yeah.
just not very structurally sound.
You have to remember they might not be partnered with Merc on everything.
But they may be handcrafted.
inspired by the Merc creaking.
Yeah.
The gauge cluster is fine.
Yeah, it's nice.
You know, it's weird to me because like there's a lot of
Does some
stuff.
animations.
It does, yeah, as
Yeah.
you go into terrain and terrain plus.
Yeah. Sport plus mode.
It's
Boom.
not. I don't think it's quite up there with like the Audis or even I guess the Bentayga.
No,
in terms
it's
of
not.
graphics and sharpness.
No.
But
And truly, if you compare this to the new Continental and new Bentayga interior,
Yeah.
it's more visually beautiful, but it's a step behind in
It
like
is.
wow factor.
it is,
like
and it is cheaper than that. But if you think it's more expensive than the Maybach GLS we were in, and that has all the new Mercedes tech.
Yes.
With M-Bucks and everything.
it's not as nice looking as this, but it is nicer to use.
Well, they've just leathered everything in here. Like even the steering wheel. Like this is normally, you know, metal and.
Yeah, like literally the leather. This is usually plastic on every car, and they've gone leather all the way behind it. Everything is trimmed. It's really
I find
nice.
that the buttons down here. This is my last complaint because I know it sounds like we're complaining about.
Yeah, they're laggy.
They're laggy, but also there's a lot of them going on, and then the lane assist. And I didn't mention this when driving in the in-car because I wanted to have fun in the car, but the lane keep assist isn't.
It isn't lane.
It's weird. So if you go into a Mazda 3, the lane keep assist, there's a difference between lane centering assist and lane keep assist, and then lane departure warning.
Yeah.
And lane centering is when something keeps you in the middle, and I know it sounds like pointless tech, but go on a 3-hour highway journey, and it's
Best thing ever.
It's wonderful. It just really
That
relaxing.
F-150 over there has it.
Yeah. This has all the makings of lane keep assist, centering assist,
Yeah.
but all it does is vibrate the steering wheel slightly as you go over into your death.
So it's not lane centering assist.
It is the button equivalent of someone at the beginning of a horror film saying, "We'll be safer if we split up." It's just, in all ways, it's terrible. And,
Yeah.
and it's not acceptable on a car that costs this much.
It's just not. I mean, and here, that's the thing. Like, we're not actually here giving buying advice to you guys. Most of you watching, you just want to see us rip around in one of these, and we wanted to rip around in it too. But if you are actually considering buying one of these,
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop you because it's gorgeous and it's cool and it's really cool. Like, it's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
But like, if you're looking for something that's objectively better, I would honestly say the Bentayga, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, you might have to pay a premium for it.
You have to pay a bit more, but I mean, if you're up in this category, maybe consider a Bentayga. That said, this is cooler than a Bentayga, and it looks eons better everywhere, I think. So if you bought it, I'd be like, nice, basically.
Yeah, it's for the person that's always wanted an Aston Martin, but also wants to be able to go over potholes and curbs without
Yes.
crunching the front.
And like take people with you comfortably.
Because as
right?
we saw, it's also a crazy off-roader.
Okay, so maybe you don't have plans to aggressively off-road this, but for everyday use, as Thomas said, there's a certain cool factor to it. It's still a unique thing to see on the promenade compared to the slew of Cayennes and Range Rovers. And that interior, well, it's borderline art.
However, for us, we're not sure that stuff is quite enough to overcome its pitfalls, from a perspective of both its lack of comfort and features, especially for the asking price, which in this spec sits north of the Bentayga's starting price. In the attempt to be both sporty and luxury, it kind of misses the mark on both. Having driven every single luxury and sports SUV that you can buy at the moment, we had high hopes that the DBX would sit a little higher up the totem pole than it does. Thanks for watching.
Can I speak to your manager, please? Are you even from this country? My taxes pay your wages.
They do.
You work for me. I've been shopping here for years. My husband has dinner with the owner every Friday night.